Guys, welcome back to another season preview with myself, Phil Boileau, and co-host of this show, Justin Rowan. We're doing a season preview. We're talking about the Eastern Conference, third worst team in the whole Eastern Conference, Orlando Magic. This is a young, up-and-coming team with a projected starting lineup of Elfrid Payton, Victor Oladipo, Channing Frye, I hope that's not the case, Nikola Vucevic, and Tobias Harris. Maybe there's some switch arounds in there with Hazonia and such, but okay, this is a team, we just did our last preview about the old and crippled Brooklyn Nets. We're talking about a nice, young, up-and-coming team who doesn't really need more draft picks. Justin, we're talking about the Orlando Magic. We have them third worst in the East, but there is some hope here.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said in our Nets preview, I think all these teams that we have projected to miss the playoffs have a chance of making the playoffs if everything breaks the right way. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of pieces. I'm not convinced with how they fit. I like Elfrid Payton. Victor Oladipo has there's a possibility he breaks out the same way Jimmy Butler did last season. Tobias Harris is a very good player, although his position is kind of undefined. It's unclear if he's better playing at the 4 or at the 3. Aaron Gordon's got a lot of potential. Vucevic is good. Again, their defense, their interior defense particularly, does give me a little bit of pause. So they're going to need a lot of guys to step up and play above what they're expected if they want a shot at making the playoffs.
I can agree with you there, but I think the one name, Vucevic, people always say he's good. I think he's better than good. He's a 2010 guy consistently. Maybe he's not a shot blocker, but when you talk about interior defense, he's a big body, can rebound, and I think they're hoping that Aaron Gordon can become that, 6'9" power forward who comes in, shot blocks like a bit bigger Sean Marion. Like, when I'm looking at this projected starting lineup, I think in 1 or 2 years we're going to see Hazonia at the small forward. Like, I saw him in Summer League. He's a big guy. He's a legit 6'7", 6'8". Mm-hmm. And then at power forward, I think Aaron Gordon, the same thing, can slide in there. So I think how it's all going to work out, honestly, is Tobias Harris is going to end up being the big man off the bench. He's just going to be the forward who comes in and scores. And I think that kind of fits his personality and skill set a little bit better than potentially a starting rotation.
It's funky because there's a few guys that I could see in that role as kind of the big man off the bench. Like, I can see Aaron Gordon being that player. They're trying to get him to play small forward, or at least they had in the past, which kind of gives me Derek Williams vibes and makes me uncomfortable. Hazonia, I'm a big believer in. Like, he's going to be an absolute stud, another Rookie of the Year candidate in all likelihood. He could blow up and have a fantastic rookie season, but I do see him as the kind of long-term small forward. But then again, like, you're looking at Aaron Gordon, you're looking at Tobias Harris, guys. Kyle O'Quinn, I believe, is still there. They got a lot of power forwards, and I don't see which one is the clear-cut starter, especially when you're paired with a center that doesn't really play defense in Vucevic.
Absolutely, and too bad Canadian Andrew Nicholson's name never gets called, but I guess he's behind a long line of power forwards on that team. See, I think that's why, to me, Gordon almost makes less sense coming off the bench. I think him having an established defensive presence, learning how to shoot that corner 3 and such as he's slowly learning next to Vucevic as a starter, makes a little bit more sense. And Harris, like, I always like bringing scoring off the bench. If it's a defensive player, I prefer to start him in my rotation if it's close. That's just how I usually see it. But
right.
I big time agree with you on Victor Oladipo. I think we're going to see a massive improvement. We saw him in the second half of last year. His shots improved, his ball handling's improved, his athleticism is unquestionable. His decision making, and Elfrid Payton. Those two, I think, are quietly becoming one of my favorite backcourts in the league. Now, while Oladipo's not huge, he's not tiny, and he's got the hops and length to make up for it. And Payton's a big point guard. I just think there's so much potential. I mean, when you look at Hazonia, I look at that shooting he can bring in right away next to a guy like Vucevic, and with his athleticism with Elfrid Payton. I think he's in a bit of an ideal situation. And one of the guys I think doesn't get spoken about enough, and maybe it's a bad fit, but I really liked Evan Fournier for a while. Ever since his Denver days, I really like his ability to ball handle, shoot. May not be the flashiest guy, but I think he adds a lot of value and youth. at that point guard position. And let's not forget, they also got another steal of a deal with Shabazz Napier picking him up off the Miami Heat, giving up almost nothing for him.
Yeah, well, I was actually just about to mock them for that. Like, they gave up nothing because he's worth nothing. I'm not a big believer in Napier. I was mistaken earlier. Kyle O'Quinn is no longer with the Magic. I do agree with you. I think Gordon would be the ideal fit at power forward. He's got to show. He's got to show something. Like, he had a little bit of injury problems in his rookie season. He just hasn't shown the promise of a number 4 pick yet. But I think you look at the young guys, and if they achieve more than what's expected out of them at this point, they do have a good shot at contending for that 8th seed, especially when you consider they got Scott Skiles in there, which he's not exactly a long-term coach, but he has a history of getting a lot out of a team earlier than we expected. We saw that with the Fear of the Deer Bucks. I just don't think you can expect Skiles to be there for long.
No, I agree with you there. And as a closing thought, as we do with a lot of these, when we're looking at our potential hero for this team going forward for Orlando Magic fans, a few choices here. Who do you think really stands out as as their best player this year?
I think if all things go to plan, it's going to be Victor Oladipo. I think he's the prime candidate for a breakout. He's got so many tools. He can create offense, which I think they're going to need him to do a little bit as Payton matures. Obviously a great defender, triple-double threat. Like, he can do a lot of things, and I think this might be the season where we see him break out.
I agree. I'm actually going to go with... I can't argue with anything you said, but I think Elfrid Payton and his poise, I think he's really going to jump up to be, this generation's version of, this generation, everyone's still so young, of Rajon Rondo. I just look at his core division, his rebounding and everything, and I think he's the cog that makes this all tick. A lot of these guys need to be set up. Creating their own shots isn't the easiest thing, especially for guys like Aaron Gordon and Vucevic, who need to be set up. I think this team is going to go as far as Payton takes them personally, because, while Oladipo and Tobias Harris can create some hero ball, I think the continuity and the right shot selection is going to be key for this team, and I think Elfrid Payton is the guy. And again, like you said, having Scott Skiles as your coach doesn't hurt, having you as the emphasis. But yeah, all right, so guys, this has been your Orlando Magic preview 2015-16 between Justin and myself. We'll catch you every week, hoopslounge.com.